All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Terrain Incorporated live show. As usual, we are joined by Bill Foreman, the Terrainaholic.
How's it going, everybody?
We're also joined by Mel, the Terrain Tutor, who is up at a slightly better hour.
It's only 1:30, guys. We're fine. I don't know about the end of the show again. I mean, I had 2.5 hours sleep before I had to get up, take the kids, so we're not doing that again. That was not good. But, hi, folks.
And then we're also joined by our special guest this month, Viv from Knights of Dice.
Hey!
Good, everyone. Hope you're all keeping well.
So this is an interesting show because we have terrain crafters from all corners of the world at this point. I think we're sitting on like 3 continents here at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're also joined. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our topics. As usual, we will have a Q&A at the end of the show, so if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below, and we will go through them all at the end of the show. We're going to be going over our terrain specialties, what each one of us is really good at, and then we're also going to do our regular terrain on a budget and our video game theme sets topic today. So let's go ahead and get started with the specialties. Who would like to take off on that one?
You.
Me?
You.
Alright, I'm going
3, 2, 1.
Alright, so terrain specialties. One of the things I've been doing a lot since I started doing terrain professionally is a lot of video game theme sets. And that's also our subject for today as well, because we were talking about it last meetup. But I've done quite a few video game themed sets thus far. I don't know if you guys have looked at it, but I've done the Portal series. We did an entire Tau Empire themed set for that was full of all sorts of fun Easter eggs. It had things like quotes from the game, graffitied on walls, and little things like it had a picture of what's his name. Not Rock Johnson, but the guy who's the president of Aperture Labs, like just sitting against some rubble as a scatter terrain piece. Also did a Skyrim-themed set when Bethesda came down for a Blue Table Painting Valhalla. That was really fun. Got to attach all sorts of dwarven and dragon bits to everything. Built a huge castle. The castle was like this tall on an elevated plateau that had ramps coming up that you could take cavalry bases up into. And then the most recent one I did, which was a dream project, was the video game Brutal Legend, a heavy metal themed Sound Marines board on a lava world. That one was amazingly fun. So, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to chime in, how difficult do you, because I mean most of these games are level up games, aren't they? How difficult do you find, I mean, you're obviously getting shot at while you're trying to look at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you do it? How do you sort of capture what's going on in a video game? Do you film it as you as you do that sort of stuff, or how do you do it, mate?
I usually go and play the game for gratuitous amounts of time. It's business research. It's for a project.
Do you bill by the hour? Is research included? You're trying to get paid for your gaming time, aren't you, mate?
I don't know. I probably should, but I don't.
Okay. Serious question. So, you know, would you factor the cost of that game into a build then if someone came along and sort of asked for that sort of thing? Because it seems quite interesting.
If it was something that was that I was substantially not familiar with and that would require a lot of stuff to do, I actually when I was working at Blue Table, I got paid for 3 hours because I'd never played League of Legends, and we did a quote for them at one point, and they basically said, "Do you know about League of Legends?" And I'm the only person at Blue Table apparently that doesn't play League of Legends. Everybody there plays League of Legends. And they're all telling me, "You could do this, you could do that," and I'm looking at them like, I've got no clue what you're talking about. No clue whatsoever. So I got paid for 3 hours to go play the video game and do sketches. So it was less of playing and more of like studying the scenery while I ran around and tried to not get killed by things.
That's
Nice.
Cool.
Very nice.
That's a good way to work.
Yeah, that with video games, I tend to try and get a hold of the game, or at least watch YouTube videos. YouTube videos is good half the time. Sometimes you run into a game where you just have to play it. Like there's no other way to get a good view on it. Skyrim is one of those. When I was building the Skyrim set, I didn't actually own a copy of it, so I had a friend of mine who did post a YouTube video of him running around Whiterun, the main city in Skyrim, and just looking at different angles to try and figure out how things looked. So that was
for you. How often do people not look up in video games? That's my #1 peeve in watching YouTube videos. Is they go through all the trouble to make these massively tall buildings. I get to see the first 10 feet and that's it. I can see the ground around them. I can see everyone fighting around them. You got this huge, gorgeous building. Can they take a second to look at it? Absolutely not. That drives me absolutely crazy.
And that's
It's
why
like
sometimes I have to.
It's so hard for that.
Because you see a lot of those YouTube videos online that are like that.
Yeah, because it's all gameplay, and they don't show the terrain at all. It's like the terrain is like incidental or accidental. If you get to see something, it's because they were running from the monster at one point or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just drives me crazy because they put in so much time and effort into it.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what I want to see when I watch game playthroughs. I could care less about the boss fights. I want to see what the terrain people did. That's just me though.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, mate. Totally with you.
Okay, so Mel, your turn.
Well, I suppose it's a bit difficult for me to say specialisation because I don't really make terrain for a living, if you know what I mean. This is sort of my hobby come who knows what sort of thing that I do because, I'm staying at home with the kids. Mm-hmm. But I suppose you could say my sort of thing is, or my passion, it's getting people to make terrain. Yeah, a bit like Viv, he's got some awesome tutorials, and we've all seen your latest flock stuff and your foliage stuff. Awesome, mate, absolutely awesome. Yeah, but my whole thing is sort of like the steak knife brigade. People who are either just buying bog standard terrain or on a limited budget and just building the stuff, and that's what I like. So I can't say that there's any one thing a speciality other than trying to figure out an easy way of doing complicated things. Most of my tools are Lego, because I haven't got the money to buy the proper tools and things like that. I mean, you've seen my channel, you know what I'm like. I think I'm running a 2.5 foot by, I'd say 2.5 foot by 20 inches for my working area, and it's the steak knife brigade, guys. So I mean, that's my specialisation. Just people getting terrain on their tabletops. Who knows? In the years come by, I might become specialised in something else and be like really good at something. But in generally, I'm pretty average at everything.
Okay. We also were talking about this right before the show started. We have come to the conclusion that Mel does have the smallest studio area. You were saying that your marriage is on the line, Mel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is the studio.
Oh my God.
That's it. This is all the. Yeah. My wife gave up the the kitchen table for this charity mantic build I'm doing. She hasn't been able to put a single thing on our kitchen table for how many days in June? 30 or 31? 30, isn't it? 31st June. 30.
31.
31, right, so she hasn't been able to put anything on her kitchen table for 45 days yet, and I'm still telling her, you've got at least another 17 to go, darling.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm on a deadline.
That's love.
Yeah.
Mate, 17 years in, dude. 17 years in. We wouldn't know what to do without each other yet.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so Bill, you are up next. What would you say is your specialty?
I'd say probably not so much as a specialization, but more so that not a lot of people do a lot of it is Eldar, and I think pretty much it's because of my scroll saw. Because I've got that scroll saw, I'm able to do a lot of the curvy, pointy stuff that the Eldar are known for. I wouldn't be able to do it without it. That's for doggone sure. I don't know. Would you guys agree, disagree?
I agree. I actually have some of that terrain that you did with the scroll saw sitting in my closet waiting to get revamped.
Cool.
And it looks amazing. I would have an extremely hard time doing that in my studio. I'm sitting here going, if someone wants like that, I'm just going to point them your direction.
Well, you know what's funny is I think that was done by Nick over at Modest Magic. He's got a CNC router, and we actually designed a table over like a weekend, and we've been selling them. I usually sell like one or two a month or something on eBay. So it works out really well because it helps his family out, helps us out a little bit. So, you know, as far as like the same table over and over and over, by far that has been the table that I've sold the most of, even though his machine is the one that's kicking it out at this point. So, as far as what we're known for, I want to throw this out to Viv. Viv, people still talk about that weekend that we built those 2 orc planes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
I actually ended up selling that to a guy who wanted to build like an orc fortress. I said, well, you can, you know, it was supposed to be an airdrop ship, but if you want to turn it into a fortress, it's all yours. And so I finally did get it out of the house. But yeah, people still bring that up, man. That was an awesome weekend we had.
I had a lot of fun there.
Yeah, that was really, really cool.
Orc terrain is just successful. People love orc terrain.
And it's easy. You can't screw it up, really.
No.
Guys, have you got a link to that anywhere? Is it on YouTube? Because I'd love to watch it. It sounds like an awesome build.
Oh, yeah, these were a couple of years ago, 3 years ago or something like that.
I will
time.
go down and put it in the comments.
Keep going down.
Yeah, I still had mine for a long time, and then when I closed my shop, one of my customers said, "What are you planning on doing with that big orc thing we had it hanging from the ceiling?" I think it was actually stacked up on top of a whole bunch of stuff. You could see it as soon as you walked in. It was massive.
It was huge. It was big.
It must have had a 4-foot wingspan at least, I'm sure. And I said, "Look, I'm probably just going to junk it." And he's like, "Can I take it home?" I was like, "Yeah, please, take it. It's yours. Just get it." So he had to take that home on public transport, on a bus and on a train.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
This thing was massive, guys. It was huge.
Wait, this is like, I imagine the scene of someone who has nothing to do with wargaming sitting on the bus, and there's this guy sitting across from you with this really weird-looking plane sitting in his lap.
Yeah.
Or sitting up against... that's just great. That's like a New York moment right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was good fun.
It was fun.
That actually
It was a lot of fun.
Did you guys ever see the Tau Manta they had me build over at Blue Table, like last year?
No,
I
missed it.
think I did see it.
Okay.
I think I saw it.
This guy, if you're familiar with like Battlefleet Gothic or no, it was Aeronautica Imperialis. That's what it was for. There's this huge thing. It's bigger than a warden, and it's just this huge flyer that can carry multiple flyers inside of it. Huh?
It's got 2 levels.
Yeah, and it has like guns all over the place. It's basically got 2 twin-linked plasma ion cannons on each side. And they had me build this thing, and I had to build it with modular wings that could pull out. So I ended up like there was magnets all along the sides and metal plates, and these were like magnets were like this big, and there was at least like
they weren't Earth magnets,
huh?
They weren't Earth magnets?
They were Earth magnets.
Oh, they were. Wow.
Yeah, I had to put like 3 of them together to get enough pull to actually smack it together. And then I had it
Oh,
pegged
wow.
3 spots on each one with PVC piping to protect the internals. So I basically dug it out, put PVC piping in, put the peg in on the other one. So you had 3 pegs and magnets. So it would make this really, really wonderful clunk sound as soon as it pulled.
Nice.
Manta, engage.
Exactly.
Very cool.
All right, Viv,
So that's
you're up.
about-
Specialties.
My specialty, I don't know, my biggest specialty is never finishing anything or painting half of my terrain. That's what I specialize in. Look, I don't know. Like I said before the show, I've got a huge amount of space, and I've been very fortunate and very lucky. But I don't, like Mel, I don't build scenery for even a part business. I've done that in the past when I had my shop, and it was a tough gig, as I'm sure you guys would be familiar with. And right now, I don't really need to do that for a side income. So I don't sort of specialize in sets or stuff like that. I guess what I'm known for, and as Bill said, what he's known for is doing things quick and easy. And quite often that means that you see a lot of the stuff on my channel. It's a couple of minutes of just, here's a small little hint and tip, or here's how you can make a hill. And I think I've got 6 of those type of videos. But all the cool stuff, all the big sets, stuff that you see like Bill's channel I've been watching for years, and his scroll saw and his machines make him sort of easier to pump all that sort of stuff out. I can't really do all that sort of stuff because, I don't know, ultimately I'm a lazy person. And that takes time and dedication, and if it takes more than 5 minutes, no, I'm off. I'm 4 minutes into it, and my brain is gone. I'm already thinking about something else. So, but my specialty would have to be quick and easy. It'd be nice to have the patience of some of the other people, then I could actually spend some time, because I've got the skills and to build something big and build something nice. But no, my ADHD just makes me go bang. No, I'm out of here right now. Thanks very much. I'll come back later on and start that all over again.
But I've watched a lot of your videos in the past, and some of the stuff that you make that is quick and easy is actually really nice. Like, I sit there going, why did I not think of this? I'm trying to go about this the like super hard way and trying to do all this fancy stuff, and then he just does this, and boom, it's done.
I love his Dystopian Wars table.
Yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful table.
Yeah, stuff like that, and the trees, and I mean, it's quite often the way that the simplest things are often the best. I think there's some sort of saying or catchphrase or something. The simple things in life are often the best, or something like that. I don't know.
Less is more.
But I don't know.
For me, there were 2. There was the one where you were using, straws to do pipes on buildings, and to sit the straw down and glue it down, you just stuck it in polystyrene. The amount of hours I've lost trying to get those things to glue. Yeah, and it was like, that's genius. Yeah, and the recent one for me from your channel, Viv, was the applying sealing flock by using a syringe and just spraying the piece with the water first. And it was like, that's genius. No PVA on anything but the flock. Which one?
The trees were genius. From the gutter protectors.
Yeah,
those look
big brushes.
I've been looking for a way to do those for ages, because I've got a lot of those Games Workshop trees and stuff that we had from the old shop, and the woodland scenics armatures and stuff with clump foliage are nice, but I don't know, for some reason they look better than those bottle brush trees from Games Workshop and other manufacturers, but for some reason I like those bottle brush trees for wargaming terrain more than I do like a proper armature and all that sort of stuff, and I've been looking for a way for ages. Yeah. Been looking for a way for ages to make those, and the other day I was just looking around the workshop, and I had a piece of that stuff hanging around. I must have picked it up ages ago and with a similar idea in mind, and never got around to finishing it. Brain off on one track, found another thing to do, and stashed that away somewhere, and yeah, it just worked out so perfectly. It was great.
Nice. All right, so kind of gone over what each one of us is really good at, what we like to do, different approaches to terrain. Now the big question, I'm really excited for this one for this show because since we've got terrain crafters from all different parts of the world, this is going to really make us kind of be able to help people do this on a budget. So what we're going to do now is how do we build a terrain table creatively for under $50 in the different regions we're in, but the theme has to be an urban war zone.
Just a minute. Let me work out how much I get for $50.
So yeah, that's going to be our challenge. Try and figure out how we do this for under $50, and also put a cool spin on it. You know, because we see a lot of people doing like the classic 40K urban war zone out there, but how to make it interesting and cheap. That's the key thing.
The first thing that jumps to my mind, and I think this is universal across everywhere, you see quite frequently, and Mel, you've just done a series on your channel. I think it might be ongoing, and I did one ages ago, but not to the sort of the quality extent that you've done it, on those simple ruin buildings out of foam core.
Yeah.
I think using cardboard to do something similar can also be done, making up a simple shape out of cardboard. Cardboard is free, cheap, easy. And I just happen to have here in my pocket, which I found this morning after we fed the baby, the detail, just as you were saying, Matt, about detail. I've got here, I don't know if we can see it. Bloody God. I don't know if you can see this little cap here.
Oh yeah.
It's ribbed. It's ribbed on the side, and this is the lid off of a one of those squeezy juice bottles for feeding babies. So we end up with 2 or 3 of these every day, and so finding small little bits and pieces, tops off of milk bottle, off of drink bottles and stuff like that.
This thing, I've been drinking these lately, half because I like the taste of them, and half because if I get enough of these together, they actually kind of look like some sort of weird turbine kind of thing that I can make into something interesting.
Sure.
Totally.
Whenever we go to the cinema with the kids, I always make sure we buy them one of those yard of ale plastic containers. Yeah, because for their drinks, because you can cut them in half and immediately you've got 2 towers.
Exactly.
So,
carry on, Viv, with your idea. What was your thoughts?
I think finding and repurposing materials that would normally either be chucked away by yourself or by other people is the best way and the cheapest and easiest way, in my opinion, to add detail to those simple structures that we were talking about before. Knocking some stuff out of cardboard and then decorating it either with thin card or with bits and pieces that you find around your house or other people's houses. I think that's for me at least, a way that I'd go about knocking out some urban terrain for an urban warfare zone that has a little bit of sort of extra detail, a little bit of extra sci-fi elements to it on the cheap. I don't know if I'd go out and spend $50 to buy stuff. I mean, I'd probably spend that on glues and paints and brushes and all that sort of stuff if I needed it. But as far as the building materials are concerned, as a hobbyist, I find it hard to justify spending money on terrain. This is one huge big issue that I'm sure everyone here is familiar with, is that I'll quite happily go out and spend $50 on this bloody little metal miniature, but when it comes to paying for a nice world for him to exist in, no, bugger that, I'm not paying $50 for that. I'll scrimp and save my little pennies and collect little caps from around the place. That's what I do. From a hobbyist perspective, I collect little bits and pieces from around the place. I must have 2 60-litre containers full of bits and pieces that I've just collected over the years of a lot of stuff that Bill finds on his channel and always shows his dollar store finds and stuff like that, and always comes back with these cool little bits and pieces that cost a couple of bucks and really fit to purpose. That's what I do, collect bits and pieces.
Sweet. Speaking of Bill's ability to find gold on a desert island, you were showing us something right before the show started. Yeah.
if you get the proper model, it runs about $50, and it's about I want to say this is 13 inches long. The actual model that this is trying to represent, this is about 16, so it's about 3 inches longer, and it's about 1.5 inches wider on each side. But I mean, if you were willing to, you know, scale up the game slightly, because you can go to a photocopier and say make it 15% bigger than this template, 15% bigger than it is right now. You could literally just redo all of your turning sizes for the X-Wing game and use this and save yourself $50.
Out of interest,
So,
could you cut a base? I don't know X-Wing, so I don't know the mechanics, but could you cut a base that was the right size?
Would be really easy to do. But yeah, this is like some of the stuff that I've been finding recently. We put it down in the basement. We got like 2 28mm like cottages that are already pre-painted. We picked those up for $4 a piece, and they're about, I'd say, 6 by 4.5 by probably 5 inches tall. I don't know what it is with the Goodwill around my house, but they're always dropping off little doodads. Here's one more thing that I picked up real quick. I actually picked up a APC tank, and it's got the solid wheels. It's not like cut on the inside. It's solid all the way around. I got it for $1.
What?
Got it for $1, and it's got doors that open up in the back for putting guys in and stuff. So yeah, this is going to be eventually for my zombie game. I want to use it, but I can't think of a scenario that the zombies would actually beat an APC with a tank top.
You know what, Bill? I've got an idea. I'm gonna do this. Something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a foreman challenge next week while I'm on my surgery recovery. I'm gonna go up to the DI, which is the version of the thrift store around here. I'm gonna take $15. I'm gonna take $15 and see what I can get up at the DI for terrain. See if I can pull some gold out of the desert like you do.
I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky. Oh, go, Viv.
I was just going to say, it's stuff like that APC that Bill's found for $1, that some people may think, okay, look, it's not going to be in scale for my game, and I don't want to sacrifice the aesthetic. It needs to be in scale for my game. But in terms of terrain, for $1, I would quite happily take a hacksaw to that, chop it into 2 bits.
Yes.
And there you go. You've got 2 little bits. I mean, I've seen people, and we've done it. We've done it before. We did a job once, or we had one of our club members back at the old shop come in with a Land Raider and say, look, someone gave this to me for Christmas. I don't want it. Can we make it into a piece of scenery? I was like, well, a Land Raider here in Australia costs like $120 or something. If you want to wreck a Land Raider to make a piece of scenery, go ahead, man. I mean, we've got some $3 sort of kits that we picked up from a junk store once for building terrain. But if you want to wreck a Land Raider, go for it. I've seen other people wreck land speeders and other 40k vehicles and stuff, and those things here are next to sort of gold here in Australia. The prices are ridiculous, but something like that for $1, perfect. And that fits into the theme of urban warzone.
So, out of interest, just to cut in, how long do you think it'll be before people stop smuggling drugs into Australia and start smuggling Land Raiders? I mean, we watch that customs program in the UK all the time, and everyone's bringing in food and things up various orifices. Yeah, I was just thinking, trying to get a Land Raider up there, that's commitment, but for $120, it might be worth it.
Look, I'm not sure. Look, it's probably already happening. It's probably already happening.
I feel sorry for the guy who's smuggling Tyranids in.
Oh!
Yeah. By the way, guys, this is not a. We just talk about this kind of stuff. You know, last show was interesting. Oh, jeez. And the show has officially hit its point that it does every time.
How long did we last this time?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so so Bill, you were talking about sorry, my brain shut down. How would you do an urban war zone?
How would I? Well, I've got the unfair advantage of some useful tools. Would that be using them or not using them? Because that would change how I would do it.
Let's assume using them, because I've known people who have like a cousin or a grandfather or a dad or a brother who has tools. So let's assume that you could borrow whatever tools that you already have from someone, or at least get assistance, since that really doesn't cost anyone anything. Maybe a beer, you know.
Just very quickly, gents, stepping out for a coffee, because I can feel tiredness coming.
Okay. What time should we make him get up next month?
It's doing well. Have we lost Bill too?
I think we lost Bill. Oh no. Yep, we lost Bill.
Maybe he'll be back in a minute. I think that's a fair point to talk about using tools, because quite often people, when I had my shop, and even now, want to build something, but they don't have access to some specific type of tool to do something. Let's just say it's a heat gun. Not a lot of people have a heat gun. A lot of people have hot glue guns, but not a lot of people have heat guns. I mean, what do you need a heat gun for? And so they come and borrow that. They might come to my studio, or they came to the shop and say, hey, listen, can I use the heat gun to melt this piece of polystyrene or something like that? And Bill does have all these wonderful tools, the scroll saws and the band saws and all that sort of stuff. So I think people have access to borrow them or use them.
Yeah, that is true. I remember back when I talk about this a lot. When I was building my first set of terrain for Amazing Wonders Game Store, I didn't have a jigsaw, and I didn't have you know, the belt sander that I have now. Now I have these tools, but at the time I was sitting there going, okay, hardboard is what's recommended for some terrain sets, so I wanted to get into it. I bought a sheet of hardboard, and I went over to my brother's, and I remember it well because we started this a little too late in the evening outside, and it got dark, and we were only half done. So I'm sitting there with a flashlight, holding it above the hardboard as my brother's jigsawing this hardboard, and that is a case where you work with what you've got. I remember also in right after college when I first started going into Warhammer, I didn't have access to any tools. I hadn't even read any tutorials, so all I really used was a pair of scissors, a hot glue, and cardboard, like you were saying. That stuff did last me a while too. I think it lasted me a few years just sitting on shelves, just because. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, if you've seen DM Scotty's channel, he does a lot of stuff with hot glue. The stuff that he just does with pretty much just hot glue. I'm pretty sure he could just build terrain just out of hot glue. No cardboard, nothing else. He just used hot glue. His channel is amazing for people who want to build stuff on a budget and with a small set of tools, or a limited tool palette, if we can call it that, is amazing. I'm one of those people that sort of like, I need to do something. The first trip is to go to the hardware store, and I'll spend $100 on this tool and $40 on 3 different cutting edges, and well, while I'm here, I might as well buy another bandsaw. But people like him, no, I can really do it on a budget. I mean, and what we were talking about before about borrowing tools and going around to people's houses, this part of our hobby, in my opinion at least, should be as social as getting together and playing a game, and or getting together and painting figures with your friends. Why can't there's no reason why we can't get together and build some terrain or use each other's tools. Like you said, get a piece of hardboard. People talk to me all the time about this 3mm MDF that I use and how can you cut it and all that sort of stuff. Buy a big sheet of this, go around to your friend's house, have 1 or 2 beers, and then just spend an afternoon cutting out a whole bunch of random shapes. I've got a bucket full of just random shaped bases that I spent one night cutting and beveling the edges for, put a DVD on, and I made probably 50 or 60 bases. And whenever I want to build something, I take a base out of that box, it's a random shape, and that gives me the size of the terrain that I need to build, and I start building on it.
And it looks like we have Bill back. Did you
Welcome back, Bill.
Thank you,
buddy.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I saw Sue calling me, and I was attempting to get a hold of you all there for a second.
I'm glad it was as easy as it was. You know what's funny? I've got the same situation. I keep all my cutoff bases as well. Like long strips are perfect for like fences and stuff like that. You know, it's nice having an assortment of random just bases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I sort of pull things up, but I really try and push the limit.
I have a ton of excess bits that I'll hold on to. Like, for instance, I've got this laying right here from the. This is all from the Nurgle Winter set. This is just a bunch of random length straw bits that I just shoved in this. Sat off to the side because I might be able to use them later on for something. Okay.
Do a fuel depot or something. Sure.
Oh yeah. So before you got cut off, Bill, you were talking about how you would go up. Oh, and you're eating ice cream.
Sorry, sore throat.
Ah, yeah.
How I would do it? Well, tell you what. No, I'm not going to steal Viv's fire. Viv, you go ahead and do how you would do it in cardboard because I think that's absolutely brilliant. I'll go about what I normally do. For $15, you can pick up a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of half-inch polystyrene, the high-density foam, and that is like the easiest thing to make walls out of. You can make your walls, you can make your floors, ceilings, whatever, and you can build a whole table out of just that. In my opinion, besides getting either, I like to work from a black base and then work up in grays, but if you're willing to actually cover it in just gray straight off from the start, that'd be even better. You could black ink it to give it some depth, especially if you have any surface distress over it. Things along those lines. Mel, I've seen you do surface distress work that's really, really good.
Thank you, buddy.
You know, that kind of thing. Basically,
it's
that's
too late for me to
the road
remember when I did it.
Hey, Bill, one thing I want to point out for people if they do decide to not start with a black coat, if you use a Sharpie, if you use anything that, like, you know, has a really dark color to make your markings or anything on that, it will show through. So, like, I learned that the hard way.
Gotcha. That is true. Also, if you're working with a pen, usually there's some alcohol in it that causes it to dry more quickly. That will melt your foam as well.
Yeah.
So that's important. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. If you want to use it to actually create distress, it's not a bad thing, but you should be aware of how it's going to affect your material.
You know what's weird that I learned? The stuff that, like the alcohol you get in, like the solvents and the sprays and the pens and everything, it'll dissolve the foam. But then when you actually hit it with like isopropyl alcohol, it doesn't do a thing. It's weird.
I've never worked with that. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never worked with that. I've worked with naphtha. Naphtha is kind of like alcohol on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely, as a matter of fact, one person who is a chemist, and it's weird, when you get so many subscribers, you don't realize the base of knowledge that comes with that, because people just step forward out of nowhere who are doctors, chemists, engineers, and they'll just give you tricks of the trade. They're like, if you've got extra polystyrene you want to get rid of, get naphtha, and it will dissolve it completely. You could throw away as much as you want.
Wow.
So that's what's amazing, I think, not only about our community as terrain people, which I think we've got just fantastic talent all around, but the part that I also really appreciate is the base with which our subscribers come from. We've got people that know how to do just about anything. So that's what I find really, really amazing.
Sweet.
So, but is that covering what I need to cover, essentially?
Yeah,
I want to say, or not?
Yeah, essentially that should cover it. Mel, so how would you go about doing like an urban war zone for under 50?
under $50, which in the UK is £30, which is, you know, a Big Mac, a couple of fries. You know, it's not much money at all. Yeah. Okay. Before I start that, just quick couple of comments on what Viv was saying about DM Scotty and cardboard. He actually did a tutorial recently on making cardboard buildings, and what I thought was genius was he'd used double-layered corrugated cardboard, and then to hide the cardboard, he just went straight over with hot glue along the edges and just dunked it in gravel. Yeah, and it was like instant building.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and it was like, damn.
Have you guys ever used tape on the edging?
Yeah, I've used tape. But I could. Go on.
I found that tape peels a little bit unless I seal it afterwards with something. Yeah. When I've used tape in the past, it sort of eventually starts to peel off and.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just using a crap quality tape, which is pretty likely. Given that, like I said before, I don't want to spend money on terrain. I'll find the cheapest bit of tape I can.
I've seen DM Scotty do the whole paper mache thing with toilet paper. That actually is a pretty neat trick, and I might be trying that to do some covering up on some like just like connection points. Because even with like the foam, you can still get that line where you connect two things, and that could be useful for creating some connection point.
Well, it creates its own texture, too. That's one of the things I like about the paper mache. Depending on how talented you are with shaping it, you can make it look like a number of different things, like flesh or bark or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen him use it for, like, stalactites, stalagmites. I've seen him use it for base work around, like fire pits and stuff. It's really an amazing material if you're willing to go through all the different possibilities.
Yeah, it's a great way to add strength to stuff. I mean, Bill, I cringed before, and you might have seen me shaking my head when you said for $15 you can pick up an 8-foot by 4-foot sheet of foam, because I mean that's a heaven for us. Because, or for me at least, here in Australia, you can buy a 2-foot by 6-foot, maybe 8-foot, 2-foot by 8-foot sheet of extruded polystyrene. Normally it's ribbed because it's designed for connecting together to go underneath floors and stuff, so you've got to cut off an inch on each side, so you're losing 2 inches. And the piece of that will set you back $28 to $30. And that's if the building supply company will sell it to you, because most of the companies that sell that stuff will sell it in bulk to builders. Because it's not used here. The only places that you generally find that are in commercial cool rooms or in multi-story buildings. I've never seen a house that uses extruded polystyrene. They'll use expanded polystyrene and then render it, but never extruded polystyrene. So it's expensive for us from a hobby perspective to get hold of that stuff. But having said, sorry, Mel, go.
With the UK being generally freezing, yeah, we've got polystyrene coming out everywhere. Pink, blue, white, you name it, you can get it. You can get, from my builder's merchant, yeah, 4 sheets of 2-foot by 4-foot, yeah, expanded polystyrene, 4 sheets, yeah, for £6.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Basically, not seeing the sun for half a life is worth it for terrain builders.
So the UK is basically wargaming heaven, because not only do you have all the conventions, you have all the companies, you have all the terrain materials super cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, guys, though, you got to remember that the UK is the home of wargaming. Very much like, you know, the UK was once the home for America with you guys, and Australia, you know, you guys in the colonies. You know, we exported a lot of things as well as you guys.
Yeah, we got
sticking up for the British here. I can see the daggers.
England.
Viv won't even look in the eyes. I mean, Viv may be Indian, but we exported to India as well, my friend.
Oh, jeez.
No, going completely back after that giggle, going back to the topic at hand, the cheap terrain, just so we can knock it off. Yeah, my recommendations to the people in the UK are build as merchants for the polystyrene, but also keep a lookout for underfloor tiles. Yeah, underlay. In the UK, you can get a 1/4 inch thick, really high density polystyrene that are virtually solid. Okay, and you can get packs of them for next to nothing. Other options are the polystyrene ceiling tiles that you can get. Next option, yeah, go find a printer. Yeah, do whatever you can to become his friend, because the amount of foam board those guys throw out is unbelievable. Yeah, because they make, seriously, because they print on it. All their signs are printed on foam board. That's why it's also called poster board, I found out. Yeah, so I rang up my local printer, who I used to work with through my other job when I used to have a proper job. And I said, do you ever come across this stuff? He says, I've got a skip full of it. Yeah, I filled my car. And when I say filled my car, I mean the boot, on top of the boot, the back seats, every offcut. And because it's printers, they cut off in like perfect angles. I mean, the reason I thought of him was because whenever I sort of like ordered artwork and stuff like that, and I get the proofs, he always sent it, yeah, in a sheet with a sheet of like 2 or 3 mil plastic card. Now you guys know this stuff is like what, £1, £2 a sheet for an A4 sheet, and he used to send it. Yeah, it's expensive. Well, I mean, I'd have like 6 or 7 drafts sent to me over a project, yeah, and every sheet just come with this as standard. And I asked him about it. He says, "Oh yeah, we buy like 1,000 sheets for 50 quid." I'm like, "You what? 5p a sheet?" Yeah. So check out your local printer. If you want to build anything straight with walls, find a printer. Become his mate. Get him drunk. Okay.
Beer is a necessary tool.
Beer is a necessary tool.
Yes.
One final comment. Yeah, there's been sort of a trend in this conversation between the guys who look out for what they see, yeah, and turn that into terrain, and the people who go out and buy stuff. Now, a lot of the stuff I do is bought stuff, you know. Bill, Viv are always spotting stuff. I'm very much like Matt. I'm guessing that Matt has projects and he knows what he needs and he goes out to get it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that whole conversation just comes down to, you know, whether you simply want terrain on spec and you're one of those people who, you know, yeah, I'll find stuff and build something out of it, or whether you're one of those people who like already has the end vision, yeah, and then, you know, you have to find supplies, because I think we've all been in that situation where we've needed to find something because the other alternative was really expensive, and it could take you forever to find something, you know, cheap to sort of replace it. So it's very much a case of whether you're building terrain on general and therefore, oh, that's cool, I'll save that for a later project, or very much like me and Matt, where you say, right, I need to build a city, so what materials do I need? So I don't think there's sort of an elitism between, all right, well, I think it's better to do this way, do that way. It really comes down to, you know, what you actually need to do. Do you know what I mean? Whether it grows organically as you find, or whether you set with a vision and then go to build from that.
That's a really good point. That is a good point. Because a lot of the projects I get, there's specifications. Like all of my projects on the block right now on that board over there have a overarching theme. That means that I have to go out and find particular materials for that theme. So I have to, you know, if I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have to create like an Eldar city, that means that I'm going to have to do a lot of carving, which is going to require mostly pink foam. But then with others, you know, I'm going to be finishing up the Middenheim board. That's mostly like popsicle sticks and bits and various other neat little things to create sort of a ruined, bizarre city kind of thing going on. It's just, you know, it depends for me on what my clients request. You know, if I get a client who just says, I want a fantasy board and I don't care what it looks like, and they just, you know, that's all. I very rarely get that.
That's like the holy grail.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would. That's why I put that special up.
Do what you want. Yeah, that's the holy grail. Because then whatever your latest thing that you're into, you just get to do it.
I'm actually going to be putting up something to try and be able to do that soon. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see if I can actually get that program put into place. And then start putting out all sorts of cool sets just 'cause. The just 'cause sets are the funnest ones.
Speaking of just 'cause, how many of you guys have? I mean, honestly, myself, I probably got anywhere from 20 to 30 different themed things just sitting around my basement that are not finished. Are you guys the same as me? Do you guys get started on a bunch of stuff and then just something else calls you out and then you got to go do that, and before you know it, you've gone through 20 things before you eventually get back to, oh yeah, I should maybe do something with this. Like for instance, I've got well, like okay, Titan Terrain's we're having Titan Terrain a walking a Titan. This is like one of the guns.
Holy crap!
Here.
That's what you're sending me?
Here's like a
jammy git.
That'd make a great cosplay weapon as well.
Hold on, I gotta see this. This is the first time
this is the stuff I'm gonna be sending you.
I don't know if I want to sell this thing or just keep it.
Click on Bill's icon.
Keep it if you want to.
You can do whatever you like with it.
Yeah. Here's like the legs.
So cool.
Here's like the legs.
Oh my
Here's
god.
like the little leg that came off with some pistons and gears. Here's like the main body. It looks like it rotates.
I'm having so much fun with this. I'm
just sending it to you. Here's the I wanted to have a gladiatorial face mask, so it's got kind of a bard looking face mask, and then the top opens up and you could put guys in it.
Wow.
I wanted to look like it had metal bars going across it, so you could do like light source painting in between the slits if you wanted. What's another gun I've got here? This is the bottom part of a Gatling gun that I used. I can't find them right now, but I used straws, and they actually rotate, and the barrels come out of the hoods of the guys. And then this is the top part that goes on it. And it would have twin rotating Gatling guns.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, this is some of the stuff. Oh, and I've got a chain fist.
He's got a chain fist too. You know what?
Because every mech has got to have a chain fist.
Holy crap! That is just beautiful.
Yeah, this is what we're gonna be sending you, bro.
Oh my gosh! I kind of want to start a
Merry
Space
Christmas
Marine army now, just to be able to field this thing.
Product.
Eventually.
Okay.
It's just taking up space down in my basement. I'm never gonna get it done. The look on your face is worth $1 million. Go have fun with it.
Everybody can finish it.
Yeah, everybody's been asking me over the years if I finished it yet. I'm just gonna send them to you.
Okay. Oh, great! I get to take that and finish it up. That'll be an interesting.
That's a beautiful idea for a business. Bill starts it, you finish it.
Yeah, there we go.
I love starting. I hate finishing.
Trust me, I already.
Yeah, I can't stand finishing. I love to start though.
Oh man.
I'm sure Viv would be just as at home.
Look, I mean, you were saying before, do we have projects that just mill around? For people like Mel, whose space is a cutting mat, maybe he doesn't have stuff just sitting around. But for me and other people that have a 300 square meter warehouse to just collect shit and just keep on. Excuse my language.
Jealous.
I don't know if we can swear on this show, but you can just start collecting 55-liter boxes of stuff and just start stacking them up everywhere. Yeah.
There's Mel.
I'm sorry, mate.
Curse and do as we please on this show.
Yeah, I've got projects that have been around for 5 years.
No, just to chip.
Wow.
Just to chip in, I mean, I don't have what you call it unfinished projects. A lot of the stuff I do is for the tutorials, so you know that tends to start and finish with the videos. But I'm just one of those people that, you know, when we're talking like finding stuff and making stuff and doing projects, I'm a project person. You know, I approach it, I know what I want to make, you know, and I've got a time scale for it, you know, and if I don't make it in that time scale, I start getting annoyed with myself. Now that's just my personality. You know,
Good
it's
for you. I wish I had that problem.
It's just how I've been, you know, with the army, with what you call it, with working in a corporate world and that sort of thing. It's just the methodology you get into, and you just get frustrated with yourself if you don't finish, you know. So generally, I don't have unfinished projects. But saying that, I've got a shed load of them sitting around me right now. I've got building there, half a tutorial there. Oh, it's not good, guys. I need to get this Mantic stuff done.
You know, it's weird. I actually kind of take a similar approach with project work because I just I stick on a project until it's done. But I have that problem when it comes to my personal armies. I don't know how many armies I've half started, half painted, not like having that Infinity Toha army actually painted is an accomplishment for me. It's kind of a big deal. Like, you see this box right here? That's my Warriors of Chaos army. It hasn't actually gotten unwrapped yet. I've had those models for something like 2 years at this point.
Yeah, I've got armies stacked up in boxes that are just sitting waiting to have something done with them.
Like six.
How about you, Viv? Do you got a bunch of armies?
In that massive warehouse?
No, I've been clearing out a whole bunch of my armies. I mean, there's 2 sitting here in front of me right now. There's my Imperial Fist for 40k, which I don't play 40k and don't really want to play it, but I don't really want to get rid of it.
Sure.
Just because it's been the 40k army that I've had for ages. And I mean, I haven't played 40k for 4 years, maybe. I don't know. I don't play a lot of Games Workshop games anymore. But I just can't seem to get rid of that one. I got rid of all the others. I got rid of my Town, my Necron, my orcs. I had a massive orc army. Got rid of that, no problems. Got rid of a whole bunch of fantasy armies. But I've got a few still milling around here. If we're talking about games, I've got my ogres in the case behind me. I've got my undead sitting up here, and my Imperial Fists. But yeah, I mean,
Do you have your Bretonians?
Yeah, they're sitting up on that shelf there. That shelf behind me. That one running along there is all Bretonians up there. There's
I love your plate mail, by the way.
Yeah, I should get that back on and get some more beer. I've got 40 litres fermenting at the moment, so once that's ready, maybe I'll put the plate mail on and we'll do some more videos in that. That's milling around.
2 chainmail jerkins myself.
Yeah, it's good fun. I think everybody should have one.
We need to just come down to Australia for a weekend or something. If we're all not, could afford the travel. It just seems like your place is just a fun warehouse where it would be like kids at a candy store running around your place looking at it.
You are kidding.
I'm very lucky.
The Titans of Terrain go on tour. Let's do it. We'll go continent by continent. Yeah, we'll visit one terrain builder on every continent, get absolutely plastered, and see what we build. It'll be like one of those TV challenges where they go around the
world. Any of these off.
Well, if I ever hit the lottery and win like $1 million, then it'd have to be more than $1 million if it's going to be us getting plastered. We'd end up we wake up in Paris for some reason. Bill is covered in paint.
I can build the Eiffel Tower, 1-to-1 scale.
Probably in Australia, building
Okay, so
I'd just be wandering around look at the size of this place. Look at it. The echo. Viv, is there an echo?
Is there an echo?
Not anymore. It's all full of crap, full of boxes of junk. this goes back to what you were saying before about what do we collect? Is it project-based stuff or just random little bits and pieces? I mean, for someone like me who has the space, I collect random bits and pieces and end up with boxes of junk that I lug around for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, like cool shapes and stuff like Bill has. So, but for other people, I think the advice that you mentioned before, talking about sort of getting stuff when you need to get it, that makes things, in my opinion, difficult sometimes, because when you need to have something that looks like this to embellish a shape or something like that, well, then where do you get it from? How do you get it, etc. But
we've all been there.
I still hoard things. I've got a box full of nothing but random like little container shapes like that, just and little doodads and bits that I'll find, and I'll just toss them in that box, and then I rummage through it every once in a while when I think a project might need something out of it.
yeah.
No, you know.
You've got one drawer that's nothing but bottle cap tops.
Now, you know, guys, we discussed this last show, but, you know, my process to sort of getting odds and ends is to buy Corbin toys knowing that he will break them and eventually I'll be able to turn them into terrain.
Or you can break them yourself, accidentally,
Oh,
of course.
no, because then the wife cottons on. If I break it and make the terrain, yeah, she knows I've broken it on purpose. She knows I did that once. That was not good. That was not good at all, boys. Yeah, so it's just better leave it to the kids, because you can really rely on my kids to break toys.
Okay. All right, so we'll get to our last topic before we start taking questions from viewers. Video game theme sets. If you could build any video game that you possibly could think of as a terrain set, what game system would it be for, and how would you approach it? So I'm going to put Bill on the spot since he's already figured out what game he's going to be doing.
If you
Yes,
want me to go
Mel is
first, I'm
prepared.
actually ready, guys.
Yeah, so am I.
You want to go first, Mel?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, I present to you the strategic hill in the Greek Battle of Petta, which was the Greek Battle of Independence in 1822 against the Ottoman Empire. Now I'm building this table set for a mate.
Nice.
Yeah, so as you can see it, I hope you can see it all clearly. Now,
Is that 28 millimeter?
no, it's 28 mil. He's getting his own miniatures sculpted up and everything. Once we've got more of the set, I'll do a video on it. But very quickly, yeah, I was having a real sort of challenge trying to figure out, you know, right, me. No, that's not right. What can you guys see right now? Oh, we've got retro.
You've created an infinite world.
They are.
That's pretty cool.
Right, guys, can you say like a funky little space marine now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Right, okay. Where are we looking? Capture. Preview. I present to you World of Tanks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Now, I was really struggling with getting the shape of the hills, getting the idea. And then I was playing a game one night, and I actually happened to look around, not through the reticule. And I looked at literally this hill in front of me, okay, that you're seeing now, and it was like, this is roughly the area, yeah, that the battle went on. It matches the photos, yeah, very much with the style of the rocks and the colour of the ground, etc. Yeah, but one thing we sort of talked about earlier, and Viv touched on, and he sort of struck a chord with me. Viv, when you were talking about the wargaming trees, okay, and you said, oh, you know, the woodland scenic armatures are really nice, but I like the sort of bottle top trees, and it's the simplification of terrain, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, if you look at a field or take a photo of a field, you have a million different shades of green. Yeah, you look at a field in wargaming and you've got, say, 3 or 4. Yeah, so it's sort of a representation of what real life is like. Very much like our models are a representation of... Just let me go off this and stop screen sharing. Just 1 second, guys. Yes, I'm not logged into... Oh, we've gone... Go away. Go. That's not screen share.
There you go.
Screen share. Yes, I'm back. Right. Infinite World and my iCloud thingy. No, as I was saying, what you call it? There's sort of a representation. Now, what I found I'm doing a lot of is on World of Tanks, I'm dropping my graphics level down to make it less realistic, to get simple, what you call it, simple sort of styles of hills and grass and texture. I mean, I spent one game driving around a building in my little Electo tank, getting shot at by everyone, just so that I could figure out how this ruined building was built, because it's a 3D structure. Okay, so it's like, well, I can do that on a foam board. That's easy enough. And on top of that, it shows me how to paint it, because people who've been paid lots of money to make these things realistic, yeah, have got these things right. Yeah, so for me, it's like, you know, very much World of Tanks, you know. But my suggestions for the guys who are sort of using, you know, video games is drop your video settings. Yeah, go from the uber realistic and go to something more simplified, because then you can actually start to see how you can replicate it. When it's uber realistic, you think, there's no way I can do that with static grass and flock and stuff like that. Drop it down, you start getting a couple of shades of colours. You say, yeah, patch there, yeah, the rocks need to be roughly that colour. Yeah, and off you go. So my recommendation is, you know, when you're playing these games, drop your settings down. Yeah, and every so often, don't worry about shooting people. Take a good look around. If anything, it confuses the hell out of the enemy.
And I like that idea also because, like, for instance, games like Skyrim, which are super realistic and super detailed, to the point where you could sit there staring at a building for a good long while and still trying to figure it out. Dropping the settings to figure out the base structure, and then even if you did want to try and match the detail level, just gradually increasing it until you have a good idea of how it's all put together. It makes a lot of sense.
You know what I do is I look for templates. A lot of these games are repetitive templates. Like, for instance, Viv did a video a long time ago about doing the board with the white plaster, like medieval cottages, and he showed like 5 different ways that you could go about like doing the actual the plaster work on it. But if you looked at how he did it one section at a time, and that's how a lot of these video games are. They might have 10 different building style sections. One might include a door, one might include a window, one might not include anything. But if you can find the pattern that they do and replicate that pattern, it's much easier to reproduce, especially something like a city, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I do is when I'm looking at video games is the first thing I look for is the pattern, and then I try and figure out how do I replicate that pattern. Then the hard part is how do I connect the patterns together. That's actually tends to be, for me, the more difficult part of the problem solving.
Yeah, that's really useful to do. I actually saw the videos, Viv, that you did with that, and I kind of filed that away for future use if I ever do that style of building, which I'm really hoping I don't have to. Because
it just shows like how many different ways you can do it. Though. That's what's so cool.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. That was 5 years ago at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your stuff is still pretty popular. When people type in terrain crafting on YouTube, you still pop up there pretty often. Even like the older
I have no idea why. I don't know why. Like I said at the very beginning, I never finish anything. I've got so many projects out there from tutorials where I've built stuff and gone, oh yeah, I've built it now. My job's done. I'll put that on a shelf somewhere, and it never gets painted.
I've got an idea, guys. I've got an idea. Yeah, I've been looking at the YouTube stats. Yeah, and like how often people like watch it. And it's sort of only about 30% of people sort of watch my videos to the end. So I'm going to take Viv's style and then just not finish it, because like 70% of the people will think I've built something awesome.
That's a tried and true method. That'll work. I guarantee that'll work.
Yeah, true.
That's great.
I'm going to do that, yeah, and say it's awesome. Then somewhere at the start of the video, I'm going to say, listen, let me know what you think of the final thing, what you call it, at the end of the video. And see how many people comment, why didn't you finish it? Why didn't you finish it? And see how many people go, yeah, that was brilliant, Mel, loved it.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great to see. Okay, so Bill or Viv, which one of you wants to go?
You want me to jump in? I'll just do this real quick. There's a video game MMO called Terra, and there's one particular map that I absolutely loved. It's called Sky Garden. This is actually Sky Garden. I'll just play it for like 20 seconds or so. But it's an incredible looking place, as you can tell.
That's right up your alley too, with your
films that I would like to make. It would work both for Eldar and Elven, and it's strange because most of the stuff that, let's face it, guys, most of the stuff that we tend to do are ruins. We don't usually do like finished stuff, you know, stuff that's non-destroyed. And over the years, I guess it's because I've done so many ruins, it's actually nice to actually make something pretty once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I saw this, I was like, I would like to make that, just because it's so different, you know, than everything else I've seen. But yeah, if I could do a video game setting, I would do Sky Garden from Terra.
Nice. That would be pretty cool too. I'd love to see how that turns out if you ever decided to do it, because that really lends itself to your whole style with the skill saw and everything.
Scroll saw, right? Big time.
Scroll saw.
Yep.
What about you? What video game of choice would you want to put together?
Well, listen, just before I get into that, that's really interesting that game that Bill has chosen, because I've seen him show games that he would love to build scenery for in the past, and they're always these high fantasy, beautiful settings that lend itself really well to the style of building that Bill does with his scroll saws and his bandsaws and cutting all those beautifully perfect angles and all that sort of stuff. For me, what video game? I've only been playing one recently, and that's been Fallout New Vegas. And that fits perfectly into my style because that's just a whole bunch of junk glued together, just glued together, quick and easy, and maybe I might not even need to paint it. So that's what I've been playing Fallout New Vegas recently. So what game setting would I like to build? Well, I'm not sure because I haven't played a lot of PC games for a long time. But if I was to do something or take some inspiration from something, obviously it would be that game because I've been playing it most recently. And it's quick and it's easy. And it's one of those games where you don't have to worry about being shot at by everybody else. I mean, it's a single-player game. You can spend your time running around like you can in Skyrim and look up at the buildings and get all those sorts of shots in your screen capture print screen thing. And it's easy. Anyone can just collect a whole bunch of random stuff and glue it together. Running around that central place in New Vegas and the Strip, it's all just stuff cobbled together as you'd imagine in a post-apocalyptic environment, and highways that have been destroyed, and that sort of stuff would be easy. So that's what I'd do. Maybe I might do it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
You can start it.
You can start it.
Yeah, that's it. All right, I'll start it.
You start it. Yeah. Send it to me. I'll finish building it. We'll send it on to Bill. Yeah, he can add some spikes with his scroll.
We'll send all of our
stuff to Matt for painting.
Yeah, send it to me, and then at the end of the day, when I make like $50,000 off of it, everyone's gonna be like, "Wait a second, what's going on here?"
Hey Viv, how about we start stuff and we just ship it off to them, huh?
I'm down for that. The building process is always fun, but
I got into the Bill stuff because you guys can have fun shipping stuff over the pond to each other. Oh, good Lord!
Just to throw this out there real quick, I know that you know Sean over at Blue Table real well.
Yeah.
And I met him at Adepticon one time, and we're talking about just the hobby and whatnot. and we were talking about the building and the painting and whatnot, and he asked me about the painting, and I'm like, I absolutely hate the painting, and it was, I mean, Sean like literally almost took like a half step back, like I slapped him across the face. Like, you hate painting? I'm like, yeah, I can't stand painting. It's like if I could just build and never paint anything, I would be the happiest terrain guy on the planet. But it was so funny because he's a painter, and I never think about how the painter feels about it so much as as once I'm done building it, I don't want to look at it anymore. Somebody else can paint it.
I think I've got about 100 videos on my channel, and only 2 are on painting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm about the same way. Like I've been doing these rust effects. Like check this out. Classcraft is just about done. I've been doing these rust effects.
Nice.
All over the place.
Yeah.
I wasn't originally going to do this much rust, but I got a battle map from Deep Cut Studios. It's sort of like an Earth desert. So I decided the idea that the desert has eroded the heck out of this this modular set of buildings, and that is pretty advanced painting for me here lately. So
I like moving along the seams because that's very realistic because that's where the rust forms.
Exactly, that's what I was going for. Here's another one.
Oh, that's very nice.
Very nice.
Okay, one quick question to you, gents. Yeah? How many of you, when you've picked up the paintbrush, have thought or said, oh God, I hope this turns out all right?
Guilty!
Oh, that happens every time I pick up a paintbrush.
I'm like, the reason, yeah, I'm sort of on my videos, I'm sort of like, yeah, what I'm doing is I'm going to build all this Mantic stuff and then I'm going to paint it in one big go, yeah, because that's more efficient and all this sort of stuff, yeah. That's absolute rollicks, yeah. I'm just like avoiding painting it like the plague. I'm trying to get my mate Mike paint it to be truthful.
I gotta throw this out there. And this is specifically to you, Viv. You're one of the only people I've ever seen do this. And it creates such a rich flavor. If you watch a couple of his videos, he'll start from a dark base, work up, then he'll work back down and work up again. So you're actually getting almost like 5 or 6 layers, 7 layers, and the realistic effect that you get by going back down the color line to the darker line and bringing it back up again makes some of the most realistic color effects I think I've ever seen. So I had, because like I'll be honest. I don't go back. I'll go from dark and I'll work it up one time and that's it.
Yeah.
But if you look at like my stonework and you look at Viv's stonework, I mean, you can tell Viv's work from my work because Viv's looks like a photograph. It looks so realistic because he's got that multi-layering effect going up and down. So if you aren't happy with like your first go at going up the color scale from dark to light, Viv, go watch Viv's videos because he will show you how to go right back down it and bring it up and make it look superbly realistic. So I had to give credit where credit is due. You do some incredible stonework, bro.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate that. But just what Mel mentioned before. Sorry, Mel. I'll let you jump in just a second. But Mel said before, do you guys ever get that feeling where you pick up a paintbrush and you think, is this going to work? Every time I paint something, it's exactly the same feeling as what Mel just mentioned then. And what ends up happening is what Bill mentioned. I'll pick up a paintbrush, start painting something, and I'll go, that looks absolutely rubbish. All right, well, I'll put more black on that, and let's add some green. Why not? Let's just add some green and see what happens. And I'll add green. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. That's why I don't like painting stuff. I'll pick up a rock and start painting and thought, let's add some yellow to this rock. What's going to happen? Add some yellow. Oh crap, that's going to get some black wash out, spray it down. It's part of the experiment, I suppose. Every time I paint something, I always paint it differently. That's why I could never be like a scenery builder or a commission builder, because I could never do the same thing twice in the same way. I'd never be able to replicate one of my pieces. That's why I've got so much terrain sitting around the place, because I'm like, oh, yeah, that Viking village. I don't know if you guys ever saw the videos that I did for the Viking village. I was like, I want to build a Viking village. I'll start off with 3 stands with some huts on them, and I'll finish those off. And then I got to the next pieces, and I'm like, well, how did I actually flock that? What colors did I use, and how did I paint that? And I can never do the same thing twice. So
that's actually quite interesting, yeah, because that's exactly the same reason why I do projects. Yeah, if it doesn't get all painted at the same time, there's no way it's ever going to match.
Nah.
Oh yeah.
But since
That's why I
Viv
work
sort of
with colors all the time.
yeah,
I
since
use
Viv
the same two base grays, and that's the only reason my stuff matches.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of worried that because the paints that I use, which is the Americana brand, some of them have actually been getting put out of production, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh great! I'm trying to keep a stable
color splotch and go to Home Depot. That's what I do.
What's that?
Take a color splotch and go to Home Depot.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
I've done that with my desert. I don't have my desert anymore. I use the Storm Gray as my base gray. They don't make that anymore. Rain. No, I still think they make Rain Gray, but the two grays that I work with are Storm Gray and Rain Gray. Well, Hunter Green they make about 1 million different kinds of. But yeah, if you find a color that you like, my suggestion is to get a color splotch of it and go get at least a pint made of it. And then if it gets, because all of those like Americana, Delta, Folk Art, all those companies cycle colors in and out of their line, and when it's gone, you don't know if it's coming back.
Yeah,
So,
that is an unfortunate thing. That's one of the, I will say that's one of the challenges of doing the commission stuff is getting a paint that is affordable, because you can't use stuff like Vallejo or Citadel or anything like that. You're gonna break the bank completely if you try to do that. And then just trying to make sure. Like, I think this is the third set of metallics that I've gone through trying to find a good affordable metallic paint that would work, and those are some of the challenges you run into at times.
just to cut in there, obviously Viv just cut in as I was speaking, yeah, and he was sort of, well, I was about to make a comment. I think Bill had complimented Viv on his painting, and then Viv sort of told us that it's a wing and a prayer. Just to sort of finish that conversation, I was just about to compliment Viv on his excellent technique on the rocks where he smeared it, and I'm thinking, literally he's just saying, I have no idea what I'm doing, and my comment was, excellent work on those rocks, guys, I really love the technique.
I like how you covered up your seam lines, by the way, Viv, bringing that video up. He used a wall spackle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just to smear it in the joint a little bit.
But the thing is you managed to somehow replicate the surface structure with you were using like regular rocks, right? If I'm not mistaken, with the rock imprintation. Yeah, that is a sweet trick. Bark works really well too. If you can't get it.
Yeah. Actually, Viv, I do actually have to cut in at this point. That rock impression onto extruded polystyrene, brilliant technique, mate. That's what I actually used to get the rock texture on that Greek hill I showed earlier. So thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah, it works well, and it's quick too, and it doesn't make as much mess as having to carve everything up and. It's
everywhere.
My wife wonders why my desk is covered in rocks.
Oh, nice. Actually, you know what? Next week is going to be such an interesting week for me because I'm having my LASIK eye surgery. I'm taking like a week off from the warehouse, and I can't really do a lot of focusing with my eyes for a few days. So I'm actually planning on taking a nature hike. Which I'll have to be wearing like these big, huge, blind man goggles, of course, to actually handle the sun. But I'm planning on going up the mountain with just a backpack and a container. I'm gonna go get rocks. I'm gonna find bark, twigs, everything. I'm just like, if I'm gonna be unable to focus on anything, I might as well go on a nature supply run.
Dude,
there you go.
How tall are you, Matt?
I am 6 feet tall.
6 feet tall. So some poor hiker is going to go wandering through the woods and come across this hairy, staggering, bearded, long-haired thing with these massive goggles on.
He keeps saying the word
collecting
over and over again.
I'll keep an eye on YouTube for that video, mate. What is it? Sasquatch spotted with shades.
I'm gonna remember that one.
You gotta take a photo, mate.
It'll be like
Listen,
some
guys,
video gaming day videos.
stepping out for a coffee, guys. 2 minutes.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and kind of share what my video game idea. This is something I do plan on building eventually when I have time. Time is always my issue. I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share for this, but I would actually like to build this for Malifaux, and it is... Have you ever heard of the game Silent Hill?
Yeah,
I've
never
heard of
played
it.
it.
Silent Hill is probably one of the all-time creepiest games that I've ever played. It's like in this horrible town that is trapped halfway between Earth and Hell, and there's this area of it called the Midwich Hospital, I think, and it's pretty much just this horrible, decayed-looking hospital that has like gurneys and wheelchairs and old rusted stuff everywhere. And I just got this idea. Yeah, blood, other bodily fluids probably. And I got this idea that you could do this for Malifaux. And
that would look cool.
Yeah. And the idea I got with it, and I'll shut screen share off now. The idea I got with it is because when I was putting together these desks, and I'll show you these right here, I used a particle board, as you can see. I had to cut a lot of these to size, and I had some spare left over, and I measured it off, and it was only an inch on one side short of the actual full amount of space you need to play Malifaux. So
that's a 4x4, right?
It's I think it's like a 32 by 32. Or 4x4?
Oh, it's a smaller one. You're right. I think it's 36 by 36.
Yeah, that's what it is. So this one measured off like 36 by like 35, and for my purposes, you know, I'm sitting there going, I'm not going to sweat the extra inch.
Right.
You know, it'll be a little tighter, but not noticeably. I don't think it'll affect gameplay. So what I was going to do is I was going to just take for sale signs are what I use for plastic, like plastic art. Or passing in this version. Like you can see, I've used that one and punched a bunch of little holes out of it for bolts. But cut them up into little squares, glue them down all over the board. Just make it all one big tiled board, and then paint it all to look like the tiling in the hospital. But make sure some of the tiles are like damaged and torn up or cracked in areas.
Can I jump in for 1 second?
Yeah.
If you go to like a do-it-yourself hardware store, they've got these see-through plastic ceiling tiles. What I do is I'll take plaster, I'll pour it in, I'll scrape it flat, and in one pop you get like hundreds of little squares.
Ooh.
And you're done. If you want to break off little corners of them, you break off little corners of them. You'll have all the floor tiles you'll ever need.
Ooh, I might have to go look that up. That might be a better idea.
If you want a really quick, easy way to do it, that's a much faster way to do it.
That probably will be a lot faster, yeah. The idea I had after that was to create sort of a, instead of going for like normal just terrain, scatter terrain pieces, is to create little square flats that have rooms. So as if you took the entire ceiling off the place, and that's what the board is. And you could even do that with like multiple levels if you wanted to, and you know, some stairwells. So you'd have like all these little rooms, like you have the room that's just where they throw the crazy people into, and you know, the padded walls that are, you know, starting to fall off with the rust showing through, and then the surgical room where there's just like big pool of blood somewhere. And all sorts of nastiness. Mel looks a little afraid. He's like, what did I walk back into?
I have no idea.
This is normal terrain talk.
Yeah, I just walked into underpadded rooms that you throw the crazy people into. Would someone like to explain this to me? Because I haven't been
terrain making.
Oh,
Yeah,
we were just
budding
talking about where you're going to stay when we all go take our trip to Australia, Mel.
Do I need to go bed?
It's a Silent Hill themed terrain board from Alpha.
Ah, right. You got to understand, yeah, it's coming up to 3 a.m. I'm cool. No rush. We are cool today. The wife's taking the kids to school in the morning. She doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to text her before I go to bed. That way she won't have to wake me up. I won't have to sort of rely on waking up to tell and have a discussion. I'll just text her.
I'll be back in 1 second. I got to throw this in the fridge.
Yeah, but I'm on my fourth pint of coffee, so, you know, things are getting whacked. I've never
let us know it is a 3x3 from Alpha.
I've never played Malifaux and I've never played Silent Hill. So let me know when you do it, because I'm quite interested.
Yeah, that's something I do want to get back to. I have a Resurrectionist Nicodeme set, and I was playing it kind of casually with a friend of mine back home. And then I moved out here and just got put in the closet and has not been taken out since.
Talking about games and stuff like that, yeah? I went to that gaming show today, yeah, and I picked up this, yeah? And this is a copy of the original Hero Quest.
Yeah. Quest.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then it's like, it's mint condition, basically. Yeah. I've
Very
just been
nice.
on eBay. Yeah. They're going for £300. I paid a tenner. Yeah.
$500, baby.
I know, and now I've got the ultimate moral dilemma. The game of my childhood, £300.
Yeah, it's hard. I've got my Hero Quest is sitting around the place somewhere, but it's in such terrible condition. I'd never get rid of it though, ever. And if I managed to get another one in good condition, I'd never get rid of it.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's my childhood game, you know what I mean? There's so many memories attached to that. I mean, I was having flashbacks as I was pulling miniatures out. And it's like, okay, it's £300, which is, you know, it's a week's wage in the UK for an average person.
Yeah.
And if you think about it like that, it's like, with no offence, I hope I never get desperate enough that I need to sell it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. But
I've actually made a
at the same time, you know, when you've got kids, when it comes down to the wire and you've got kids and you're short on cash, you know, you can't sit on a game that's worth 300 quid when, you know, your kids are going short or anything like that. So I'm hoping, that the car doesn't blow up or anything ridiculous until we can get some more funds in, and I'd say I can keep it this now.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up a good, an interesting point, and I just want to throw this out there. How many of you guys are actually active gamers, as opposed to pretty much just dedicated terrain hobbyists?
I'm game.
Okay, so Mel, you game a lot. Do you game a lot, Titan?
I'm actually approaching the point of trying to get back into gaming more. Right now, I find that I don't have the time to game as much as I want to. But it's something I'm going to be trying to make the time for more in the future. Right now, it's just projects are so crazy. I spend so much time building on the projects that I find that I watch more Netflix than game these days.
How about you, Viv?
I very rarely game. Even though I had a gaming store for sort of almost 3 years, during that time, I played a handful of games, a bit more than a handful of games. But now, I don't know, not really. I've been trying to go to some of the local stores and some of the clubs to actually get some games and start using these millions of figures that I've got sitting around the place. But that's only been relatively recently. That's sort of been in the last month that I'm like, man, I really want to actually start playing more games, becoming more familiar with the rules, meeting some more gamers, and having a reason to build more terrain and do something with it. So not really. At this point, I'd still have to say I'm much more of just a hobbyist rather than a gamer.
You know what? That's
Although
the
I'd
sad
like to
thing
play
for
more
me.
games.
I am totally just a hobbyist. I hardly ever game ever.
When the
It's
world meets.
it's very, very rare that I actually play, which is it puts me in a very strange situation that I want to kind of put forward to you guys, because I think a lot of people assume because we make all of these toys essentially that we play with them, that we get a chance to really do something with them. I always thought, you know, I would game on a table, you know, someone would commission me, I'd build the table, then I'd play a game on it, and then I'd send it out to them. I don't think I've ever done that. You know,
I've done that. I've done that. When I didn't.
you.
I did that with the Nurgle City winter terrain that I did a couple months back.
Yeah, that was nice. That was really nice.
Fortunately, J-Ro kicked my butt.
I'm quite lucky on that count because
You got to play on it. See, that's awesome. I hardly ever. I make tables and I just put them away and I never play on them. I get inspired to build it and I build it.
see, for me, what you call it, a lot of the tables and a lot of the scenery I do is because I'm associated with a club and they say, oh, we want to do this. Mel, you know.
That's
like,
awesome.
All right. Yeah, so I do get to actually play on the scenery, which is, you know, it's awesome. You know, we built it, might as well play on it. With regards to the gaming, I'm sort of on-off with regular gamers, but I've got a lot of friends who are forces, who I've made through war games clubs in the forces. And so when they come back to the UK off deployment, or if they get deployed into the area, it's like a sudden splurge of gaming activity before they disappear again. So when I say I game a lot, if you took that sort of war game, that sort of army sort of connection, that sporadic connection, I'll probably tick over with gaming. But because I've got mates coming back, I'm sort of forced to game and forced to play lots of different systems and things like that. Because I end up playing whatever they've been playing in wherever they've been based, Germany and America. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I find it's really nice. Yeah. But trying to do a campaign or anything like that is a nigh on impossibility. And I like campaigns.
Campaigns are a really nice idea, but unless you have a super close-knit group that has pretty much the same schedule and the same types of life revolving, it is almost impossible to get it running. Every game that I've played that has had some sort of league or campaign has just not been the greatest. Not because the organizers aren't good. The organizers are usually awesome. It's just getting people. It's like herding cats. That's my opinion on that.
Yep.
Okay. So I think it's Q&A time at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and look through these comments. I've kind of been trying to keep an eye on them throughout the whole show, get an idea. This isn't a question, but John McLeod says you can get those caps that Mel was showing us earlier in the UK from the Ella's Kitchen blended baby food. So for those of you who watch the Terrain Tutors channel and are in the UK, if you're wanting to find something similar to that, that's where you find it.
Well, just a minute. Well, calm down. What did I say earlier? I've no recollection of...
This isn't you, though.
Yeah. That's Viv, dude, not Mel.
No responsibility.
Dude. Oh, mate, it's 3 a.m. I've got an excuse. What's yours?
Here's something neat. Starlight Night Flame said he's seen someone that used plastic shopping cart style containers, like the ones that you just pick up when you're going in the door. Turn them upside down, put a piece of cardboard on the inside, and painted the holes as windows.
There was a really good thing that we got that was really good for that. It had a bunch of sculpted angles to it. And if you could cut the plastic out, it would make a perfect bunker. It was even about 2 inches tall, which is pretty much standard for a standard 28 mil fig.
Next week, we're going to see in the news about some guy walking into a grocery store drunk and taking all their containers.
Yep,
He's like, I need to build a city. All right. So let's see what else we've got. Looks like someone actually did use their Helldrake, an old like a busted up Helldrake for 40K. That was probably the part where Viv was talking about, hey, if you want to use a Land Raider, use
another $50 model.
Yeah. Oh man. Someone. Not a lot of questions today. Yes, we are live and running. Okay. How early did Mel have to wake up for this one? What is your favorite material to work with and sculpt or construct? All from the same guy, Drew Cordias.
Okay, so is that to me or how? Basically, yeah.
You can alter.
I went to bed at 8 o'clock. I got up at 11:30 because the show was at 12. And then I found out that I'd missed that it had been rescheduled. And then I was like, right, okay, I've missed like an hour and a half of extra sleep. Yeah, which I was disappointed about. Very disappointed about. But on the plus side, I'm going to leverage that to get a lie-in by text in a minute. With regards to the sculpting and everything like that, I don't really sculpt. Yeah, as I said, you know, my abilities are really limited, and you know, I'll leave that to people who can actually do it. You know, I spent like a day trying to put like 2 boots on a chest for like a Booty Boo miniature for for Super Dungeon Explorer. Yeah, so sculpting ain't my thing, to be perfectly honest. If it needs sculpting, there'll be a mold for it I can cast in plaster.
There you go.
There you go.
That's actually a good question. I've actually wanted to get into sculpting lately. So far, the only sculpting I've done is like with the foam carving that you've seen me do with some of the pieces that I've done. But what do you guys use material-wise other than pink foam for like sculpture type stuff? If you do, I don't know if you guys do. I can't remember.
Low PSI plaster is really good for sculpting.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
You have First Arts molds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know Viv's got some. I've got some as well.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
you cast a solid block and then carve it, do you, Bill?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, mate. Do you carve it? Do you cast a solid block of plaster and then carve it? Is that what you're saying by low PSI plaster?
As a matter of fact, a couple of his early sets were just perfect bricks that you could literally, if it's a low PSI, you can carve any kind of structure you want to on these various bricks. And I picked up that brick set, but I like picking up candy molds. And there are a lot of molds out there that are just pop-out molds that are just geometric shapes. And if you get a white plaster with a low PSI structure to it, you can get dental tools and carve whatever you want to out of it. I've actually used my scroll saw to scroll saw out a chaos symbol with all the different points, and then gone in and broken off chunks and carved in cracks on it.
I remember that video. I saw that.
Yeah. With regards
to
molds,
plaster is a really good tool to carve into if you can get it.
With regards to molds, with doing the Envirotech stuff recently and with the kids being around, yeah, I've obviously been looking on eBay and I picked up a couple of jewelry molds for casting resin in for when they do like putting photos in gems and stuff like that. And there's literally every geometric shape you could ever want in those, and they're like £1, £2 each for silicone molds. You know, and
very cheap.
It's perfect, very cheap, really good. And like I say, you say low PSI. To be truthful, I hadn't thought of using low PSI, but I always found with the Hearst Art stuff, you could hammer it with a Dremel, and you know, you do it that way if you wanted to change stuff.
Sure. I use Merlin's Magic myself. I think you use Hydrocal, don't you, Viv?
I use Hydrostone.
Oh, Hydrostone, that's what it is.
Yeah, mine's Crystal, but that's because of the quarry we spoke of before.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you use any molds, Titan? I know that you use a lot of bits from Blue Table.
Titan, are you there, mate?
Matt? Do we lose Matt?
I think we've lost Matt because he's frozen on my screen.
Not moving. Okay. Okay.
So Matt doesn't use any molds. In fact, he's gone now. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
we
What's
lost
that
him.
kind of thing? You're talking about me.
Okay. Hey, Matt. Okay, Matt's still here. Got him on the phone. He's coming back in.
Sweet.
There he is.
Yeah, my
Let
computer
me go,
completely crashed.
Right, stop talking about Matt.
What?
I'm amazed that we're
All
still
sorts of
live.
bad stuff about you when you were gone.
I honestly thought just now that that's a useful bit of information. I thought when my computer crashed that everyone would have just got kicked, but
Right.
broadcast
Well, that's
still kept going.
So your computer crashed?
Yeah, it just completely shut down. That's why it disappeared. I had to restart it,
Right.
and the broadcast kept going.
You see,
That's awesome.
don't
How
you
many-
hate Google for the simple fact that they simply assume their products are so good you should naturally know how to use them. Instead,
Exactly.
we all wander around like blithering idiots, pressing every button we can, trying to figure out how to schedule a live schedule, how to start a hangout, all that sort of stuff.
It's a learning experience.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay, I think that my toolbox is completely gone too. So let me see if I can. I think there might have been like one more question on there. So Viv, what have you been working on lately?
my brewery. I haven't done any hobby work for a while, a couple of weeks at least, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. The last sort of stuff that I was doing was all of that stuff that you saw before, the trees, the flocks, that rocks texturing on the foam and stuff. That was a quick little burst of stuff that I needed to build to finance more stainless steel stuff for my brewery. And then since then, the last couple of weeks, all I've been doing basically is just researching and reading about different styles of beer and stuff. So hobby work, not a lot. Actually, nothing. It's all been beer related for the last couple of weeks.
Okay. Well, beer is good though.
Nothing wrong
We
with
don't-
that.
We like beer.
Got the comment box back up. What do you guys think about Grand Theft Auto 5? Or is that Grand Theft Auto V? What's V in
5,
robots?
yeah.
B is 5, yep.
On the next gen and PC. I've not played Grand Theft Auto since
No.
Vice City. That's personally because I love the 80s and Vice City was awesome. I've tried to figure out ways that I could turn Vice City into a terrain set, but I don't really know.
You guys want a
My-
funny real story?
Yeah.
This is going back to probably going back to the very first one when you were looking down at your character.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't
yeah.
even like an MMO. I watched my friend play this game for like 5 or 6 hours, and he's like driving through fields. He's driving anywhere he wants to, right? And I remember I was driving home, and I came up to an intersection that was a 90-degree angle, and I had the most incredible urge to go driving off through the field. I had to actually like stop myself from doing it.
Oh.
No, you know you've been watching Grand Theft Auto too long when you have the automatic urge to like break the law like immediately after watching it.
Bill, just don't start doing drive-bys on hookers. That's all I gotta ask. Don't do
Right?
it.
Yeah, no killing hookers, right?
I'll tell you what's a real killer. You talk about, playing a game and then the mimicry in real life. Go from driving an armoured tracked ambulance to your car and then having the sudden flashback that, no, you can't drive through the wall. Literally, my car was that far off because, I need to get, I'll just go there. No!
Oh. And
That
they say
is
video
fun.
games don't influence people.
Listen, guys, yeah, it is.
Strong arguments there.
It's currently sort of, going on, coming up to sort of 3:15 here, and I'm going to have to call it soon, guys, you know what I mean?
I do also need to head off
Yeah,
shortly.
we've got only one question left. Any ideas for this guy has bought the micro-orts and Bandua buildings for Infinity? What kind of weathering? What products or ideas? Personally, Austin from Brush for Hire did a tutorial on just getting pigment sticks and then a little mixer and making your own pigment powders from them. That's a really good idea in my opinion.
My opinion would be check out Model Mates. I've got some of their stuff, and it's really nice for weathering, really easy.
My opinion would be just to use some cheap paints and just lightly stipple and dry brush it on. That's what I do for weathering.
Yeah, I mean that's how I did this. This was just
Perfect.
in orange.
Example.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for rust, I was going to say get yourself like a two-tone orange and just stipple it on along your seam lines. Makes for a great rust effect.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Well, that's all our questions. So we've had a pretty good show today. Viv, thank you so much for joining us.
Viv, it's a pleasure, dude.
Pleasure, dude.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see you again sometime in the future.
Yeah,
Mel,
definitely.
go get some sleep. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Mel, you take care there, big guy.
Thank you
No
for
driving.
accommodating us in the colonies over here.
Yeah, just gotta text the wife, boys. Gotta get me lying. You know what I mean?
Right?
All right, thanks for staying tuned. We will put an event up shortly once we figure out what next month's topics are going to be. If you would like to request a topic, leave it in the comments below, and we will go over it next month in our next Terrain Incorporated Hangout.
Bye,
Take care.
folks.
Thanks for
Take
watching,
care.
guys.